Mr. Editor, while reading your very interesting paper and noticing the interest you take in the welfare of the colored soldier, it might be of interest to you and your readers that I write a few lines, and I hope that you, dear sir, will appeal to the young colored men of this country in defense of a common cause. It is the time that every patriotic young colored man should come to the front and defend its honor and show that we are true American citizens, that we can protect our homes and government. You, sir, can make an appeal to the young colored man, will be an honor to his race. There is many a young man who has had the advantage of an education that has not given our regular army a thought. If some of our best people would encourage their sons to enlist instead of looking down upon a soldier as a debased being, this regular army would be more of an honor to the race. You have young men who are capable of holding a commission in the regular service, but are idle in your cities and will not venture into the service because they would have the scorn of their people. The colored race must venture and seek every avocation of life, and it is to the race's interest that they should become skilled in warfare. We have hundreds of young men who have not had the advantage of an education, who have risen as high as their ability would permit. To become a commissioned officer in the U.S. service, a man must be well educated, more than a public school can afford. Yet there are men who are capable of leading an army upon a battlefield who have not had that advantage. Sergeant James A. Alexander, who has not had the advantage of the young men of this age, entered the U.S. regular service 22 years ago, when the Indian was continually upon the warpath in Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. He is one of our most capable and fearless men, and it is worthy of a commission as a leader. We have found him almost perfect as an instructor, most excellent. His experience is worth as many years of school, and if only fate had been kind to him and given him schooling with his experience, we would have a grand old man. Still, many of our greatest generals were without a college education.
Hello, my wonderful grandchildren. Today, we're going to learn about the Buffalo Soldiers. Do you know who they are?
The Buffalo Soldiers are probably the people who hurt the buffalo.
Oh, I know. They hunted the buffalo, right?
No, that isn't correct.
Well, who are they then?
Yeah, how come we never heard of them?
Well, that's a great question. The Buffalo Soldiers are an important part of our Tampa history. Let me tell you a story about some very valiant black soldiers and their importance to our history and heritage. The Buffalo Soldiers were the first African American regiment of the U.S. Army formed in 1866. Their job was primarily focused on protecting white settlers from the Native Americans as they were settling in the western part of America. They got their name Buffalo Soldiers from the Native Americans because their dark curly hair resembled the fur of the buffalo. However, some historians theorize that it was because the soldiers fought so valiantly and fiercely against the Native Americans. They revered the soldiers as they did the mighty buffalo.
I'm going to tell you a tale of the Buffalo Soldiers that came to Tampa for a war they must prevail. These soldiers were brave black men that served in an army with people that didn't look like them. But America was at war, and they had to defend her honor. Even with all the hatred and segregation they were facing, this was the only home they grew to know. On a journey to Cuba, they made stops before their departure. The first was in Lakeland, Florida, then in Tampa, Florida thereafter. On arrival to Lakeland, via the train, they noticed the beauty of all the terrain. However, quite quickly they felt the difference. The people there didn't like them because they were different. There were lots of disagreements between residents and soldiers just because of Jim Crow. This was a law not many of the soldiers had been familiar or known. Well, fate would have it, they finally left. How can a place so beautiful have so much ugly? I digress. Arrived to this place called Tampa, that's where they boarded the ship to fight the U.S. declared Spanish-American War of 1898. But here lies a piece of history many try to hide. The often misrepresented hostile class on the soldiers' side. You see, 10 regiments camped in Tampa Heights. 2 black units, and the rest were white. Many of the people here hated the black soldiers' presence. They tried to stop soldiers from camping or even walking in essence. Unfortunately, all that hate and anger took a toll. When our black soldiers heard about something really cold, the drunken white soldiers, they made a wager. Who can shoot a target and put a black child in danger? That night was filled with fights, violence, but in the morning they must disembark. To Cuba they go, to fight as one, even if they aren't.
Now, let's take a moment to think. What have you learned from this story about the Buffalo Soldiers?
It doesn't matter how much they risk their lives, the people are still hating the soldiers just by their skin.
I mean, I would have gone home. If you hate me this much, then fight the war yourself.
Right, I agree.
Well, that's understandable, kids. But the Buffalo Soldier loved doing what they did. They were not going to allow the thoughts or behaviors of anyone to prevent them from being soldiers. I think this is a great lesson. No matter what people say or do to get you to lose focus of your goals or dreams, do not allow them and their fears to deter you from your destiny. Fear is just mean, false events appearing real. Because of the Buffalo Soldiers, we have so many African Americans in the Army, Navy, and Air Force today.
You're right, Grandma. We never thought about that.